All right, I think we're actually live here. I'm going to turn it off there so that I don't get the echo. It's also confusing with these live things. I'm here with Tia, my dreamer. Hey, Tia.
Hi, Michael.
Welcome to my YouTube channel, Lennox Dreams. We're going to do a little dream interpretation dive.
I'm excited.
Thank you for joining me. I've actually worked with Tia a couple of times, so she's not a stranger to me, though I have done this with people I don't know. So why don't we start just by you telling me the dream extemporaneously, or I think you might have written it down, whatever you want. You can read it, tell it, or a combination of both. Let's just get the dream on the table and see what we're dealing with.
Okay. So I dreamt this dream several weeks ago, but it's stuck with me. So that's why.
Okay, so it's relatively recent.
Yes. So I came home in the dream. I came home and I realized that my husband had gone and purchased a new house, our existing house.
Okay. I think we went into Frozen Land.
I think so. I'm so sorry.
That's all, honey. You don't have to be apologetic for the digital drop that happens. It happens. And these days with the pandemic, I think there's so much of an overload of, Zooming and streaming. We're going to trust that whatever digital garble has passed and we're back into video. So what I got so far was your husband purchased a new house without your permission.
Without consulting me, asking me what I wanted in a new house. He sold our other house. So I was definitely feeling irritated, insignificant. The house did, those were really the only feelings I felt at first, was just these minor irritations. I wasn't super angry, but I noticed that what I noticed the most was the house had a huge swimming pool that was like a resort style pool. So it was really big. And then off to the side, it had like this lazy river that kind of attached to it, which I thought was really cool. I thought, what a cool thing. But then I started noticing that there was lots of people in the swimming pool and the lazy river. And then through, I don't know how I found out, but I realized that our pool and our lazy river were open to the people in this gigantic condo building, resort building, whatever, that was like off to the side of our house, but that they were allowed to use our pool and our lazy river. So I realized that we were going to have no choice but to let people use this pool, and that we would never have this private house, private experience. And so then I started realizing, oh my gosh, if I don't like this house, if I want to sell it, I didn't want this, but now how are we going to sell it? Nobody's going to want to take this because no one else is going to want this, lack of privacy. So that was a concern to me. And then I started noticing all the things, because at first I thought the house was okay, but then I started noticing things that needed fixing. It was showing signs of wear. The pool bottom, I noticed that was something I definitely noticed, that the pool bottom was really old and needed replacing. And that was going to cost a lot of money, and we weren't going to be able to do that then, and we'd have to live with it. So I was going to have to live with all these things that my husband had gone and done without discussing with me first. So I was becoming more and more angry and agitated towards him for taking this on without even consulting me. So that was like the gist.
I love this dream, and I love the simplicity of it. Now, I know a little bit about you, right? So we've worked together, so I know what's up with you right now with regard to your life and your marriage. So why don't you share with me now in this public forum, to whatever level you're comfortable, what's going on in your life and your marriage that that we need to talk about because of this dream? I know you know enough about what this dream is expressing.
Yeah, there's been a huge lack of communication from my husband. Just feeling insignificant. I feel insignificant. I feel
I love that word in your description.
Yeah, like I'm not part of a team. I'm not in a partnership.
I circled it. Well, you can't see. I take notes when I'm working in this format. I circled the word insignificant because you said it 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, it's huge. That's really, if I had to put everything in a nutshell as far as how I feel in my marriage, that would be the word that I would choose. The one word that I would choose.
That you feel insignificant.
Yeah.
Okay. So like right there enough, like right there's enough to say we did some beautiful dream work. Like one of the things that's funny, Tia, in my world of dream work, and you have asked me for dream work before, so I know you get that what I do is a kind of downloaded aha transmission. This is what your dream means. That's not dream work, though it looks like dream work because that's what I do with dreams. Dream work is any consideration of a dream. Just remembering a dream is dream work. Just knowing that this dream floated around for 3 weeks because it felt significant, funny, is dream work. And so writing the dream down and saying insignificant in your writing, and then in your sharing with me, saying that word not once, not twice, but maybe even 3 times, and then wrapping it up, like that's enough to say we got something out of the dream that identifies the core issue, the core feeling that is unacceptable. So yay for that. But there's really fun distinctions about the symbols in this dream I want to unpack with you. Ready to go?
Yes, I am.
So houses in dreams, homes are wonderful symbols for our sense of self. So if we start there, in a just sort of a general, there's a house or a home in the dream, you're in some consideration of your sense of self. And in this case, it's very specifically who you are by virtue of your marriage. See, it's even though he bought the house, it's not his dream. So it's not him that bought the house, it's you or the part of you that is tied to him, the part of you that knows yourself as a wife, as a partner. And so it's him in your dream. In one branch of psychology, we call this the imago. Imago psychology is that inside each of us who are partnered, if you are, that there's an inner archetypal image of the partner that is the spouse that you attract. And then in dreams, they show up as literal imagos. Same is true when people dream of their exes. They're dreaming of their inner relational archetype. So the husband buying the house is to commit to, though you don't want to, or needed to have some consideration for, this sense of self that is what you will have to accept if you stay in the marriage without considerable significant change. Even later in the dream, you talk about, I'll have no choice but to live with all of these challenges, right? But it starts with the idea that he purchased the house without considering me. So because it's not real life, and we're not talking about actually the disrespect of non-consideration, the dream is saying, oh, wow, I'm in a sense of self that I don't feel like I kind of agreed to. Like, I didn't agree to be at this level of sense of self in this kind of a marital reflection.
Yes.
Like, you did agree, obviously, right? But that's what it can sometimes feel like, right? Where it's like, wait a minute, I didn't agree to this. I didn't, and it's significant, right? The home, significant. And now every time I use the word significant or insignificant, I'm going to think of the pun of your dream thing. But I don't know if you said it here. I know you typed it when you said it to me that the house was really quite big. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but it's yeah. So this is the consciousness of self that at the moment you're stuck with vis-a-vis the marital challenges you're moving through. Mm-hmm. I love breaking down the images of the swimming pool because of water connecting to emotionality, right? In a general sense, land and earth is our conscious mind, and water is the unconscious, and therefore, because we leak water inexplicably when we get emotional, there ipso facto is the part of the water relationship symbolically to feelings and emotions. A swimming pool, though, is like especially if the swimming pool is in the house that represents yourself as a coupled person. A swimming pool is a man-made body to contain water. So it's our emotional nature, but not like the deep emotional nature of our humanity, which would require a natural body of water to reflect it. It's the man-made. What level of emotionality can I handle? What level of emotionality am I sharing with my spouse? Right? This is the pool of your house together. So it's your shared emotional content. That, you with me?
Yep.
The lazy river thing is crazy. I want to wait for a second on that because I'm not quite sure what to make of it. It's really juicy. Not really sure where to go. So I want to stop for a second. I will come back to that in a moment. But but you're with me so far though, as the pool being the containment. So
Absolutely.
one place I like to go to when a lot of people show up in a dream that aren't major characters, right? They're not people you know. It's not Aunt Marcy and it's not the guy from around. It's just people. If the dream is a landscape of your inner psyche, then every person who shows up in the dream is some thought that you're having. So a big crowded dream scene could be interpreted through the lens of, well, these are all your thoughts about this issue. So there's lots and lots of invading thoughts that aren't comfortable. They wreck your buzz. They hamper your sense of privacy and safety. I'm going to call that, yeah, those are all the thoughts you have about the marriage, honey.
Yep.
And if I stay, I have to accept that there are all of these thoughts are always going to be there. And they're not your thoughts, meaning they're not thoughts of your immediate sense of like what's good and right. They're the thoughts of this doesn't feel right. This is an invasion. You don't belong here, right? So it's thoughts you prefer you weren't having.
Right. Oh my gosh.
Right? So now I love this distinction of the bottom of the pool. This to me is the impact of time. When you say to me the bottom of the pool is yucky or broken or needs fixing, one image that I get is of all of the sediment that falls to the bottom and collects and might create a lining of gunk that is part of, you didn't say anything like this. I'm adding this imagery, so I just want to honor that I'm adding a little bit. But the bottom of the pool specifically is what you say is broken. So one thing that I imagine about the bottoms of pools and being compromised is years and years of kerfuffle. And this word's been floating around in my mouth the last weeks. I've said it a lot. All the gunk of the interaction and the marriage and the thoughts about the marriage settle to the bottom and create damaging stuff. Also, the bottom could be considered the foundation. That the foundation of the emotional shared space is broken and in need of repair. So the lazy river, first of all, it's an adorable sort of moniker to have associated with it. So is it in your memory of the dream, was the lazy river portion also like a manufactured pool?
Yes.
What do you think of that image? Like if you can join me on the idea that the pool is some reflection of your shared emotional experience with your husband, and there's sort of two versions of it. One is the pool that's damaged and one is the lazy river. What association do you make of that if I hold the mirror up to you and get you to sort of vibe on the lazy river as one of the emotional expressions?
I don't know. The only thing that's coming to mind that keeps popping up in my mind is that I didn't put it in the dream interpretation itself, but I remember specifically seeing like on the bottom of that part of, the lazy river, that I remember thinking it was distinctly separate, but usually lazy rivers are connected to a pool. So I remember the feeling of distinctively separate, feeling like that was a peaceful, like, oh, how cool. Oh, how nice and peaceful. And I remember seeing these jets on the bottom of the pool that would push around to get the water moving around. And I remember distinctly seeing those. So I don't know if that helps at all, because I don't know. I'm not coming up with anything except that.
Okay. One thing that's interesting, so your language just now did indicate that in the dream perception that you saw the lazy river as a kind of yummier alternative.
Yes.
Is there anything in the mix for you in the history of the dissatisfactions that you have that are rising up in more of a crisis now that might have been less attended to you by you because you were sort of in the lazy river consciousness? I'm really reaching here. I don't feel strongly about this.
You know what just came up for me is there are other circumstances in my life now that I've tried to connect with other people and other situations to try to get connection with someone else. And I feel like other connections are moving me forward faster.
Okay. So I get it. I think, yeah, with that, what you just added. So yes, the pool that's broken is the old way that is static, going nowhere. And it's the known quantity. And the lazy river would be like how you want to be living.
Yes, that's it.
In the pool, you're always insignificant.
Yep.
In the lazy river, you'll be insignificant now and then significant, and then none, because it winds through life and consciousness and ups and downs and good feelings and bad feelings. And that's what you are wanting, something more organic, more fluid, more flowing, more unexpected, more like, well, I don't know where this is going to lead us.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Because you know it's in the pool.
Yep.
Love it. And one last thing was you did say something that I also like. The reason I have the pad and I'm listening is the words you use to describe the dream count a little bit. And you used the phrase, no one else will want this. What do you think? What do you think of that? No one else will want this. That, I think that was coming up in the dream consciousness of, I want to be able to sell this, but no one else is going to want this.
Yeah, I want to be able to get out of this, but I'm stuck with it because no one else is going to want this lack of privacy, all this invading my space. I don't want to be invaded anymore. I want, and what I really got with the river thing was I want more peace and I want more forward movement. I want to feel like I'm in the flow of life as opposed to stagnant.
Yeah. And the last message of the dream, Tia, is saying, no one's going to want this. I'm not going to be able to accomplish this. I will not be able to fix the pool or sell the house or go down the lazy river. So in a way, that's the most important piece of the dream, not because it's true, but because it's where you're saying no.
Right.
Where you're saying, man, not going to happen. No one's going to want this. It's never going to work out. I'm never going to have the flow. I'm going to be stuck. I have to stay with and live with all of these invading thoughts. So yay, that we identify the kernel nugget of the shadow of the dream where you are expressing to yourself where it is that you have a no, a fear, a consciousness that you will be stuck. So for my money, the dream is the unstucking or the unsticking mechanism. And the unconscious says, hey, here's where we're stuck, and here's a beautiful image for you to work with. And I would invite you to do something with this dream after, as a result of coming together and having this conversation. And I would do something creative and irrational, something maybe in a drawing kind of ritual that addresses either the idea of selling the house successfully, or maybe it's just a picture of you on the lazy river, some expressive, irrational image that will signal to your unconscious that you're actively paying attention, and that will spark your dream life to pop up some new information down the road when the unconscious says knock knock and we say who's there, then we get the knock knock joke from our psyche.
Yes, I love that.
All right, well, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you, Michael. This was awesome as always. You're amazing.
Thank you, sweetheart. Well, everybody, take care. If you ever have a dream, you can reach out to me at michael@michaellennox.com. I do this every couple of weeks. Have at it, everybody.